All right, thank you guys, and welcome to our college basketball free pick video here for Tuesday, January 5th, 2022. And if you're new here, I just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my channel. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you end up liking what you see here today, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to hit that subscribe button as well and join the Brock Page family. I'd love to connect with you on a daily basis. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our first game. It's going to be in the Big East. I'm talking about DePaul versus St. John's, and that's going to be a 6:30 Eastern start time at the Carnesecca Arena. And it's St. John's, who are -5 at home with the total at 153.5. And following another disappointing day of premium sports picks on BrockPage.com yesterday, we are still 4-2 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on that very same website. And the good news is we have another board member tier package pick going off here today. And if you end up signing up for my board member tier package here on this day today, it's actually going to work out to be just $1.85 a day all the way through the end of January. Now, if you don't feel like spending that much, we do also have ourselves our $1.99 daily best play, where we are currently 9-4 in our last 13 picks in that very category as well. And if you sign up for our $1.99 daily best play here today, the math actually works out to be just 7 cents a day all the way through the end of January as well. Now, when it comes to this ball game here, this DePaul-St. John's matchup, it's actually St. John's who's scoring 83 points a game, and they're knocking down nearly 50% of their field goals at home. Julian Champagnie is scoring over 20 points a night, along with 6 boards and a couple assists. Now, the junior's also making nearly 44% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Posh Alexander is averaging over 15.5 points a game himself, along with 4 boards and 5 assists. And when it comes to shooting the basketball, well, the Red Storm, they've been very good in that category. As a matter of fact, St. John's is in the top 25 in the country in offensive field goal percentage. Once again, doing a great job shooting the basketball. They're taking on a DePaul squad who lost their last 2 straight. And they also failed to cover the number in their last 3 straight ball games as well. Now, the Blue Demons have really struggled offensively on the road. As a matter of fact, DePaul scoring just 64 points a game away from home. And they're making only 24% of their three-pointers in that same category. So certainly some areas of concern with the Blue Demons traveling here today. Now, total-wise, DePaul's 3-0 to the under in their last 3 road games. No real surprise there. They're also 5-1 to the under in their last 6 ball games at any location. Meanwhile, St. John's on the other side of things, they saw their last 2 straight fall under the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean towards St. John's -5 and the under 153.5. Next ball game. It is going to be in the SEC. I'm talking about Alabama versus Florida. 7 o'clock Eastern start time. The Florida Gators are -1.5 with the total at 150. But as good as the Gators have been defensively, they did fail to cover in 4 out of their last 6 ball games. As a matter of fact, 3 of those failures to cover were outright losses. The Gators have also been little threat to shoot the 3 ball at home. They're making just 30% of their three-pointers in Gainesville. Now, they're hosting a very good Alabama team who won 6 out of their last 8 themselves. They currently rank in the top 25 in the nation in scoring on average per game. These guys have been very prolific offensively this year. Jaden Shackelford scoring 16.5 points per contest, along with 6 rebounds and nearly 40% shooting from 3-land. Meanwhile, Javon Quinterly is scoring 14 points a game himself, along with 3 rebounds and 4 assists. Now, the Alabama Crimson Tide has also done a real nice job of rebounding the basketball, as they're currently in the top 25 in the country in offensive rebounding per contest. And of course, when it comes to the number in this one, 6 out of Alabama's last 8 outings got over the posted total. Meanwhile, 5 out of Florida's last 9 got over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Alabama Crimson Tide plus 1.5 in the over 150. Next ball game, little ACC action. I'm talking about Syracuse versus Miami. And that's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time in South Florida. The Miami Hurricanes are -2 with the total at 152.5. Now the Canes are on a 7-game winning streak, and they also won 7 of 8 at the Watsco Center. The Canes are scoring 81 points a night in front of their home crowd, and they're currently led by Cameron McGusky, who's scoring over 18 points a game along with 6 boards and 40% shooting from beyond the arc. Very good numbers out of McGusty. Meanwhile, Isaiah Wong is averaging 16.5 points a night himself, along with 4 boards and a couple assists. Now they're taking on a Syracuse team who failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5 ball games, and they've really struggled on the defensive end of the court. The Syracuse Orange, they're giving up 76 points a game, and they're amongst the worst teams in the ACC in defensive rebounding. Definitely some defensive concerns here. Now, total-wise, no real surprise here. 2 out of Syracuse's last 3 got over the line. Miami's also 80% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Miami -2 in the over 152.5. Next ball game, Big East action. I'm talking about Creighton versus Villanova. And that's going to be an 8:30 Eastern tip-off at the Pavilion. Remember when it was the old DuPont Pavilion. But anyway, Villanova's -11 with total at 128.5. Now the Wildcats got obliterated by Creighton just a few weeks ago by 20 points. As a matter of fact, the Wildcats were held to just 59 total points in that loss. Now, Nova's also failed to cover against the likes of Baylor and Purdue this season, so they're certainly having problems covering the number against top-notch teams. They're taking on a Creighton squad who won 6 out of their last 8 themselves, and that includes victories over BYU, Marquette, and once again, Villanova. Pretty impressive resume there for Creighton. Now, the Blue Jays have played really tough defensively as they're currently limiting their opponents to just 39% shooting from the field. And when it comes to scoring in this one, Ryan Hawkins is averaging 14.5 points a night, along with 7 boards. Meanwhile, Big Ryan Kalkbrenner is scoring over a dozen points a night, an average 7 rebounds a game. And speaking of the big man, he's 7'1". He certainly helped this squad become a top 10 team in the nation in offensive rebounding on the road. Now, one more thing to add about Creighton. They're drilling 40% of their 3 balls when they travel. So there's a lot of good stuff going on here with Creighton. Not so sure why they are the double-digit underdogs here. Probably a trap game, but especially after their performance in their original contest with Nova. But anyway, total-wise, Creighton did see 6 out of their last 8 ball games fall under the posted number. Meanwhile, Villanova went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Creighton plus 11 in the under 128.5. Next ball game, more ACC action. I'm talking about North Carolina versus Notre Dame, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The UNC Tar Heels are -2 on the road with the total at 144.5. Now, the Tar Heels are one of the best scoring teams away from their home court this season in the entire country. They're currently in the top 3 in scoring on average per contest away from their home court. And they're also making nearly 51% of their field goals when they travel as well. Caleb Love is scoring over 15.5 points per contest, along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Now, Love is also dangerous from beyond the arc as he's drilling 44% of his three-pointers. And speaking of 3 balls, RJ Davis is drilling 46% of his shots from downtown, 13 points a night on average for Davis. The Tar Heels are making 40% of their 3 balls as a unit, and they currently rank in the top 10 in the nation in that particular category. They're squaring off against a Notre Dame team who's done a real bad job of covering the point spread. They actually failed to cover in their last 2 straight. And they also posted a record of just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Now, Notre Dame's had issues guarding the 3-ball this season. Meanwhile, offensively, they're certainly not in the upper half of the ACC in offensive rebounding either. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, the Irish saw their last 2 straight get over the line. Meanwhile, North Carolina saw overs against the likes of Boston College, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward North Carolina -2 in the over 144.5. Next ball game, Big Ten action. I'm talking about Penn State versus Northwestern, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Northwestern is -7.5 with the total at 130. Now, the Wildcats have won 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they currently find themselves with a 6-1 record at home. Now, the Wildcats are doing a real nice job defensively this season as they're limiting their competition to just 35% shooting from the field at home. As a matter of fact, the Wildcats are currently in the top 10 in the country in defensive field goal percentage, and when the Cats play at home, they're allowing just 58 points a game. So we're looking at one of the best defensive teams in the Big Ten, really in the country right now. Now, scoring-wise, Pete Nance is averaging 16 points per contest, along with 7 boards and 2 assists. Nance is also drilling 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Boo Buie is scoring over 14.5 points a game himself, along with 2 boards and 5 assists. And speaking of scoring, Northwestern is averaging 81 points a game at the Welsh Ryan Arena. They're squaring off against a Penn State program who lost 3 out of their last 5 themselves. And they've really struggled offensively this season. The Nittany Lions are scoring just 66 points a game, and they're shooting only 40% from the field on the road. Now, total-wise, the Nittany Lions went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games. No real surprise there. Meanwhile, Northwestern saw 3 out of their last 5 fall under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Northwestern -7.5 in the under 130. Next ball game should be a good one. I'm talking about Texas Tech versus Iowa State, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Iowa State is -3 with the total at 127. But as good as the Cyclones have been, they are coming fresh off a loss to Baylor where they gave up 77 points. They also failed to cover the number against the likes of Jacksonville and Arkansas Pine Bluff here recently. Now, the Cyclones have been very little threat to shoot the 3-ball at home this season. They're actually shooting only 31% from beyond the arc at home. Iowa State's taking on a Texas Tech team who won their last 2 straight themselves, and they also got the W in 8 out of their last 10 ball games. Now, the Raiders are holding their opponents to just 58 points per contest, and they also rank in the top 10 in defensive rebounding per game. Now, Texas Tech also limits their competition to just 37% shooting from the field. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Kevin McCullough is averaging 13.5 points per contest, 6 rebounds, 3 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Bryson Williams is scoring nearly a dozen points a game himself, and he's drilling 46% of his 3 balls. He's been really lights out from beyond the arc. So with those 2 guys in the lineup here tonight, I'm going to say Texas Tech should be able to hang with these guys, even with their leading scorer sitting this one out. Plus, I really like Texas Tech's ability to play defense. Really, that's kind of what I'm relying on here. Now, total-wise, Texas Tech saw their last 5 straight all fall under the number. Meanwhile, Iowa State saw 4 out of their last 6 fall under the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Texas Tech +3 in the under 127. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 4-2 in our last 6 board member tier package picks. I like St. John's -5 under 153.5. Alabama +1.5 over 150. Miami, Florida -2 over 152.5. Creighton +11 under 128 and a hook. North Carolina -2 over 144.5. Northwestern -7.5 under 130. Texas Tech +3 under 127. And as far as all the other games go across the country, I like Buffalo -8.5 over 162. Wofford -1 over 136. Citadel +2 over 154. Davidson -4.5 over 143. Indiana State -6 over 136. Furman -4 over 130.5. Charleston Southern +11 under 146. Houston -15 under 121.5. Nebraska +16 over 148 and a hook. Campbell -7 under 129. Ole Miss +17 over 134.5. Pitt Panthers +13 under 131. North Carolina A&T -3 under 130. IPFW, that's Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, +10 over 149.5. Samford with an M +6 over 144. UCF Central Florida Knights -10.5 under 135. Tulane +1 under 139.5. Richmond -10.5 over 152. Virginia Commonwealth +3 over 123 and a hook. East Tennessee State -2.5 over 146. Youngstown State -3.5 under 145. North Florida +10 over 149.5. UW Milwaukee +2 under 130. Alabama A&M -7.5 under 134. Arkansas Pine Bluff +4 under 138.5. Jackson State -7.5 under 124. Texas Southern -5 over 136.5. Bradley +1 over 135 and a hook. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are also 9-4 in our last $13.99 daily best plays on my website at brockpage.com. I'm going to lean toward Northern Iowa -7.5 and the under 137. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my website, you're actually going to get access to those picks all the way through the end of January. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And if you guys want to access every single pick that I give out on my website, you may want to think about signing up for our board member tier. Board members get access to every single pick that I give out on that website all the way through the end of January. But most importantly, guys, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.